Toronto, a bustling metropolis, was recently humbled by a fierce snowstorm. Over 60 centimeters of snow fell in a short time. The city was overwhelmed. Huge snowbanks lined the streets, making travel treacherous. Sidewalks vanished under a thick blanket of white. Transit stops became inaccessible. For days, many residents were trapped in their homes. Those who ventured out faced a grueling task. Navigating the snow-clogged streets was nearly impossible for some. The elderly and disabled were particularly affected, their mobility severely limited by the city's slow response. The snowstorm exposed a critical flaw in our urban fabric. We are ill-prepared for the challenges of winter. Our infrastructure prioritizes cars over people. This car-centric approach leaves pedestrians vulnerable and forgotten. The city's response was sluggish and inadequate. Sidewalks remained buried for days. Residents were left to fend for themselves. Frustration and anger mounted as the snow piled up, mirroring the city's failure to adequately prepare and respond. The snowstorm's impact laid bare a systemic problem. Toronto's snow removal system is flawed. It is reactive instead of proactive. It prioritizes roads over sidewalks and transit stops. This approach disadvantages pedestrians and transit users. One key issue is the lack of resources. Despite the city's efforts, there were simply not enough plows and workers to keep up with the snowfall. Years of underfunding had taken their toll. The city's infrastructure was ill-equipped to handle a storm of this magnitude. Another factor was the reliance on private contractors. These contractors often prioritize profit over performance. Their work is often slow and inefficient. Accountability is lacking. Perhaps the most glaring issue was the lack of coordination. The city's response was fragmented and chaotic. There seemed to be no clear plan. Communication was poor. This crisis demands a fundamental shift in our thinking. We must move away from a car-centric model. We need to prioritize pedestrians and transit users. Our city should be designed for people, not cars. This means investing in dedicated snow removal equipment for sidewalks and transit stops. We need a fleet of smaller, more maneuverable plows. These plows can clear snow from narrow sidewalks and crowded intersections. We must also rethink our contracting practices. We need to demand accountability from our contractors. We should consider bringing more snow removal services in-house. This would give the city greater control over quality and efficiency. Finally, we need to improve coordination between city departments and different levels of government. A unified, strategic approach is essential. We must break down the silos that hinder effective planning and response. The recent snowstorm was a wake-up call. It exposed the vulnerabilities of our city, but it also revealed our resilience. Neighbors helped neighbors. Strangers shoveled each other's walkways. We must harness this spirit of community. We need to demand better from our leaders. We must advocate for a city that is accessible and equitable for all, regardless of age or ability. Let us turn this challenge into an opportunity. Let us build a city that is truly prepared for the challenges of winter. A city where sidewalks are clear, transit is reliable, and everyone can move freely and safely. This is the Toronto we deserve.